Alright, another day, another batch of players linked to the LA Lakers. And this time, for the first time in quite some time, the player actually linked himself to their team, not the other way around. Not reports, not rumors, not speculation, actually the player linking them to the Lakers team. So we'll talk about who that player is, along with another big man target that's been linked to their team for another time, and why he actually might be a realistic fit for their team, and potentially even somebody that LeBron James might take a pay cut for. So we'll talk about that and try to break it all down here. But before we get too far into it, don't forget to check out g2a.com. They got your best new games, gaming discounts, PC software, and much more. So be sure to check them out in the video description down below. But now getting back to our topic, and starting out with the player that actually linked himself to the purple and gold, that happens to be Chris Paul. CP3, the point guard, whatever you want to call him, is a 40-year-old going on 41, but actually is coming off a year where he played a career-high 82 games. Yes, every single game, and that's incredibly impressive for anyone, let alone Chris Paul, a guy that's unfortunately been known for getting hurt, and especially around late season. But he played every single game, and that showed that he does have some left in the tank, and is not completely washed up. Both from that, and then from the numbers that he put up to, not anything crazy, but for a 39-year-old going on 40, did put up 9 points per game, 7.4 assists per game to only 1.6 turnovers per game. That's over a 3 assist to turnover ratio, and I think he led the entire NBA in assist to turnover ratio. Then on top of that, shot a good 43% from the field, a very impressive 38% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. Again, playing in every single game and being both a veteran leader and a very good on-court contributor too. And like I said, he did link himself to their team, actually to LA teams in general, which would either be the Lakers or the LA Clippers, saying that he wants to finish his career in LA, that he's tired of playing for teams outside of LA, mainly because of his family and them not traveling with him. And here's what he had to say about it and why he only wants to play in LA next season.
It's with my family more than anything. I see you, Pat, and how many kids you have now?
One daughter, Mackenzie.
One daughter. I see you with your daughter all
Thank
the time.
Thank you. She's
man.
beautiful.
I know everybody has their own situations. I talk to my family about it. My son just turned 16. My daughter's 12. The past 6 seasons, I've lived without them, right? So I go to San Antonio, Phoenix, Golden State. No, they were in Houston with me. OKC, but I've been around a few teams, but I've been away from them for the last 6 years, so it's a little different.
That's the conversation?
That's the conversation.
You think body's good?
Yes.
You think body's good for this season, or do you think I could still play for a while if I wanted to?
Well, I don't think I want to play for a while. I'm being honest with you. I want to be dad.
I mean, I get it. He's done traveling. He doesn't want to be away from his family anymore. His kids are getting older, and he doesn't want to miss any more time with them. I completely get it, and that's completely understandable. But with that in mind here, should the Lakers have interest and should they pick him up even for a veteran minimum contract? Well, that's definitely up for debate here. Like I said, still productive, can be a good off-the-bench player for your team or even a starter in a pinch if you don't have a better option. And well, for the Lakers, they definitely do. Between Luka Doncic and LeBron James, they already have their starting point guard or simply 2 starting playmakers, so they don't really need Chris Paul in that regard. But if they would trade Gabe Vincent, don't get another point guard or playmaker back in return, then you could make an argument for Chris Paul as an off-the-bench player for them. And then to add on to that, we know that LeBron would be open to it. They are very good friends after all, banana boat brothers from back in the day even, if you know, you know. And LeBron would definitely want to play with him and have Chris Paul finish his career while playing next to him. And possibly even LeBron finishing his career with Chris Paul too, as who knows, the next season might be his last one. Again, I think I'd only be open to it for a veteran minimum. I wouldn't be spending my taxpayer mid-level exception on him, anything more than a veteran minimum in general, and I wouldn't be open to doing that. But depending on their roster and how they may or may not shake things up, then maybe Chris Paul wouldn't be a terrible option. I mean, he is the point guard for a reason, definitely is a great playmaker, is an incredibly efficient playmaker, knows how to keep the turnovers low and run your offense and pretty much any kind of offense. Chris Paul can do that for your team. So from that standpoint, wouldn't hate it for a veteran minimum, 15 to 20 minute per game guy off the bench, but wouldn't be my first option necessarily, isn't my top priority in free agency, and not a guy that is definitely on my list and would be a part of my perfect offseason. But again, I wouldn't be opposed to it, I wouldn't hate it for a veteran minimum, and I'm sure again that LeBron James would love it. However, that's not the guy that I'm referring that he might take a pay cut for. He wouldn't have to, as they probably could sign him for a veteran minimum. I mean, with his only two options literally being them or the LA Clippers, I think both of them know that they won't have to spend much to get him and probably only offer him a veteran minimum. And if I had to guess, he probably will go the LA Clippers route, does have more history with them, played for them for quite some time, and they actually have a bigger need for a backup playmaker than the Lakers do. So with that in mind here, now moving on to our other target, and that happens to be Steven Adams, who, like I said, could be a possibility for their team and maybe even a guy that LeBron might think about taking a pay cut for, and we'll talk about why. But beginning with the report that linked him to their team, according to The Athletic, Steven Adams is an unrestricted free agent this summer, and there's a quote-unquote possibility he could be lured away by a playoff team like the Lakers, where he would be a natural fit. And well, I do happen to agree with part of that being that the Lakers would be a good fit for him. Obviously, they have a spot for him, or any center for that fact. They don't have a center under contract at the moment. Their center from last season, their starter Jackson Hayes, is not under contract, and according to reports, is not likely to return to their team. So obviously, they have plenty of minutes to offer. They have a decent contract to offer him, albeit not the best one. Only at the moment could offer their taxpayer mid-level exception, worth roughly $5.7 million next season, and for Steven Adams, he is more in the price range of roughly $10 to $15 million per season, maybe slightly less, but probably not available for the taxpayer mid-level. You know, that's more in the direction of guys like Clint Capella and Brook Lopez in my opinion, not Steven Adams, who's coming off a very productive season, a very productive postseason, and is a little bit younger than a Brook Lopez, for example, only being 32 and showing that he does have plenty left in the tank. And well, for why I think LeBron might take a pay cut for him, number one, they obviously probably can't get him without LeBron taking a pay cut. To get that Steven Adams price range, roughly 10 to 15 million again, they would need their non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which instead of their taxpayer mid-level worth roughly 5.7 million, is worth roughly 14.1 million, and likely would be enough to get Steven Adams. Now, if they would have that, would they offer it to Steven Adams? I mean, if LeBron said so, and if you take a pay cut for it, then they obviously would. And again, why I think he might think about it, obviously to be able to get him, but the targets that LeBron said he would take a pay cut for last year all had one thing in common. That being with them being veteran players and guys that LeBron could probably relate to and trust a little bit more than a younger option that he might not have as much trust in. Guys that he named on that list were Klay Thompson, DeMar DeRozan, James Harden, and even Jonas Valanciunas, which is kind of random, but again, the one thing they had in common were veteran players and guys that LeBron probably did trust for one reason or another. And well, kind of the same thing with Steven Adams here, is an 11-year NBA veteran, is well known for being a very good teammate, having a very high IQ, and simply a guy that you can trust in the court and has been well liked by every team he plays with and every teammate he's ever played with too. So with that in mind here, he would appear to fit the criteria for a teammate that LeBron would very much like to have on his team, and maybe a guy that he might think about taking a pay cut for. Again, not guaranteeing that, not saying he will or won't do that, not for Steven Adams or any free agent for that fact, but if I would have to make a short list of guys that he might think about doing it for, I actually would put Steven Adams on that list. And not only that, but then from the other side of it, from Steven Adams' standpoint, I think there definitely would be mutual interest here too. Like I said, they obviously have minutes to offer him, they currently don't have a center, and he can immediately step into that role, get back to being a full-time starting level center. Then they have the money to offer him if LeBron would take the pay cut, so he literally could get everything he wants to from the Lakers, becoming a full-time center, getting the salary that he's looking for, again depending on a LeBron pay cut, playing for a championship contending team, potentially, at least a playoff caliber team at the bare minimum, you can't deny that, getting to play with two great playmakers, getting to play with an all-time great like LeBron, and a well-respected guy around the league, somebody that Steven Adams would likely want to play with, and I think they would mesh pretty well together. I think it's a pretty perfect fit if it would all work out that way. But then from the more pessimistic side of it, as it's definitely not a guaranteed happen, far from it. I mean, for one, we've heard reports that LeBron doesn't want to take a pay cut, and I'm never going to say that he should have to take a pay cut or that he should be required to do it or anything like that. That's definitely not the case here. If he doesn't want to take one, that's completely up to him. He deserves the money. Yes, he definitely does. He made second team All-NBA, was arguably a top 10 NBA player last season, even at the age of 39 and 40. Obviously, it's worth that much from a production standpoint, from a money generating standpoint for the Lakers, a fan attention standpoint, and anything and everything in between. He does deserve a max contract no matter what you say about it, so it's kind of all up to him here. If he'd want to take it for Steven Adams, or if he'd take it for a different player, whoever that might be, that's completely up to him, but it is dependent on him too. They can't get a guy like Steven Adams without a LeBron pay cut, neither via simply free agency or even making a sign and trade. They can't get beneath that first apron without a LeBron pay cut. So that's number one here. Then number two is the argument that he might not be the perfect fit for Luka Doncic. Is a pretty perfect fit for LeBron in my opinion, but not quite for Luka Doncic. Still a pretty good fit, but not the absolute best lob threat in the world, which is a heavy priority for Luka Doncic. He likes to play with that kind of big man, even makes it a priority, and according to reports told the Lakers he wants to play with one. So that might not be the best criteria for Steven Adams. Can do that a little bit, but not the best vertical threat. Then is not the best rim protector. Is a decent one, but more so known for his great screening ability and great rebounding ability. Not more so for being a lob threat, a rim protector, or a switchable defender, or floor spacer for that fact. So overall here, I'm not sure I find it very likely, unfortunately. Again, even without him being the perfect fit for Luka Doncic, I still think he'd be a really good fit for their team and a definite upgrade for their team at center. But barring LeBron taking a pay cut, or Steven Adams taking a massive discount to join their team, it's probably not going to happen, unfortunately again. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the possibility of Steven Adams potentially joining their team and maybe LeBron taking a pay cut to allow him to join their team with a salary that he's actually looking for? And then for CP3, how do you feel about that? Would you be open to it? Would you like to have him for a veteran minimum contract, and do you think he'll end up on their team or the Clippers team? Let me know your thoughts about all of it in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.